Shalom. This is Brother Matthias coming with another sit down, another lesson today. Coming straight out of the scriptures. Just like to start off by saying all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Rakakadash. All praises due to the 1/3, the hopefully elect out there that are listening and learning throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and salutations and blessings unto you. Wanted to do a second installment of multiple wives, and the second installment is going to deal with the importance of why Salakia. It's going to deal with the importance as to why multiple women will be given in the kingdom to one man, because he's going to be responsible for them. And there's a story in the Old Testament about King David as to how important it is why women will need protection. Okay, in Esau's land right here in the Americas, where he's basically twisted everything into giving you a false sense of security. You feel as if, though, a lot of women feel as if they can be independent and they can, basically go where they please. But things like that are getting ready to change. Esau's laws are getting ready to change. And when society breaks down and there is no law to protect you, there's no 911 to call, women will basically be on their own. And this leaves women in a vulnerable position to where if they don't have protection, they'll get taken advantage of. They'll be robbed, spoiled, raped, beaten, and killed. They'll be taken captive, and there'll be no one to fight for them because there will be no law to call. Okay, so Esau's got you in a false sense of reality. And there's a story in the Old Testament that reflects that. And I'd like to pick up in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 30, starting at verse 1. This deals with the story of Abigail, David's wife, one of his wives anyway. And we're going to read what happened, okay? So starting at verse 1, 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 1. And it came to pass, when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south, and Ziklag, and smitten Ziklag, and burned it with fire. Now Ziklag was David's hometown, okay? It's where he lived, it's where all of his men lived. And this is before he became king. He had already been anointed king by the Most High, but he hadn't taken the throne yet because Saul was still on the throne. He just hadn't, David hadn't usurped or taken over as king because Saul was still alive. The Most High hadn't put him to death yet, but it was coming. All right? So the Amalekites are the Edomites, basically. This is the so-called white man in the Old Testament. They're Edomites. All right? And they're actually the same Edomites that are living in Israel right now. That's Amalek over there. The so-called Jews over there, the Jewish, those are the Ashkenazi Jews, the ones you see wearing all black and the black hats and the white shirts and all that. That's who the Amalekites are. All right. Verse 2. And had taken the women captives. All right. So the Amalekites, the Edomites, had taken David's women captive. They took them. That were therein. They slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So they just came to Ziklag while David and his men were out handling business, and they stole all the women. Okay? Now, There's no 911 to call. All right. These women needed protection, or they were going to be passed around to these Edomites, man, with no protection. Verse 3. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. Now, this is David, okay? David was a killer, and they stole his wives. Verse 5. And David's two wives were taken captive, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. That's a whole nother story. Like I said in our last lesson, Nabal was a fool. That's basically what the name Nabal means. He was a very wicked man that Abigail was married to, and the Most High finally put his ass to death. And she found David, and David wifed her up, okay? Verse 6. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his son and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Okay? So there's no 911 to call, like I said. There's nobody to go to. All right? And a man who has wives, he's responsible for them. Okay? A wife is basically a man's property. Okay? And I know some of you might take offense to that. But you got to think about it. A man defends what he owns. All right? If you get one of these guys that owns like a motorcycle, you get one of these guys that drive or ride a 2018 or 2019 Harley Davidson road glide, a street glide, got his 23-inch rim on the front. He got his forks raked, all right? He got his music in the saddlebags, all right? He got his ape hangers on, he's riding. He got his custom chrome all over it. Get close to that bike and watch what happens. All right, some of these guys will shoot you over their bike, man. They'll kill you. They'll do the same thing for a car. So what do you think they'll do for a woman? So it's not a bad thing when a man owns his woman. That means there's nothing he won't do for her. He'll die for her, okay? And these guys take care of their bikes, right? They treat them right. They tune them up. If there's a loose fork on the front rim, they get the spokes tightened. They take care of it. Is no disrespect in owning your woman. You're supposed to own her and take care of her. All right? The same way Yahweh owns us. He owns me. Okay? So because he owns me, he's responsible for my safety. The same way a man is responsible for the safety and well-being of his wife. All right? So I'm going to take it at the top of verse 6 again. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of the people, of all the people, was grieved, every man for his son and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Verse 7. And David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. Now, ephod is something like this. It's just it's more colorful than this. It has a bunch of colors on it, and they wore it in the Old Testament before they went into prayer before the Most High to inquire the Most High's instruction on what to do about a certain matter. Verse 8. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So the Most High gave David permission to go after these Edomites that had stole his wife, man. Why? Because that's an order. All right? The Most High commissioned man to be responsible for his wives, okay? So it was David's duty, and the Most High commanded him to do that. So, of course, the Most High has to sanction this. And David went to chase down the Amalekites and get his wives back. So let's see what happened. Verse 9. So David went, he and 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook of Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, so 200 men stayed back. David was riding so hard that 200 men, they just gave out. This is how hard he was pursuing the Edomites, man. He and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. They were wore out. This is how hard David was pursuing them to get his wife back, man, and their children. He had basically exhausted himself chasing them down. All right, verse 11. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water. Verse 12. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, meaning that he became more conscious, more cognitive, because he hadn't eaten for a while. Because the Egyptians had fallen slave to the Edomites after they fell. Okay. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk any water 3 days and nights. Verse 13. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite. All right, see, Amalekites, they own this guy. And my master left me because 3 days gone I fell sick. Verse 14. We made an invasion upon the south of the Sherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. So he was there when David's wives got took. And David said unto him, Canst thou bring me down to this company? He said, Can you show me where they at? And he said, Swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to this company. He said, If you spare my life and don't turn me back over to my master, I'll take you to where they hiding at. Verse 16. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. So these Edomites had raided the Philistines and Judah. All right. Verse 17. And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day, and there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled. So when David finally caught up with them, man, he slaughtered them. He and his men basically just ravaged them, man. They destroyed them. Okay, this was his job, and he did all this for his women, his wives, his children. Okay, verse 18. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. All right, he rescued them because it was his job. That's an Israelite's job, is to protect his women. Okay, this is why it's so important. And this is why in the days and weeks and years to come, okay, we're going to be going back to that in the Ancient of Days. The same way that David was responsible for them then is the same way men of the Lord will be responsible for their wives now. Okay, let's go to Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1, and we're going to re-up the scripture. Now this is a future prophecy, it hasn't happened yet. It says, And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach, our shame. Why are they going to be shamed? Because they're going to be, our women are going to be without no protection. Right? When this martial law kicks in, and when society breaks down, Uh, I don't know if you ever saw that movie, The Book of Eli, with Denzel Washington, but there was a young lady in there named Mia Kunis. She was begging to go with Denzel Washington because a woman alone in that time, they have no protection. Okay, so this is why it's important, and there's not going to be no one man per woman to do this. It's going to be one man spread out, and it's going to be many women that are going to need that one man's protection, especially a man of the Most High that has spiritual power to do so. Okay, this is all written in the scriptures. So, I believe the point has been made on this part of the lesson. I do believe I have one more. There's a little more I have left on it, but I'll let you chew on this for a while, and I pray that this message has been edifying to you. All right. Just giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Akakadash. Till next time, Matthias out.